Hi, I'm Laura Lottie.
And I'm Mike Michael.
Thanks for tuning in to the Home Extension. So how you doing, Mike?
Good. I've been super busy with school. I'm in the interior design program, as you know, and this is project week. The next 2 weeks are project week, so I have to pretty much design 3 houses and draw 1 floor plan and like 7 elevations.
Awesome.
So I will not be answering my phone. So.
Well, it looks like you guys did a great job. You and Heidi did a great job last week with Handy Appliance.
Oh yeah, those guys were awesome. I mean, very knowledgeable. And I actually, after I left here, I went out and I talked to a couple of people, and they have a really nice reputation around town, and I would fully recommend them for any of your appliance needs. You know, and it's good to see you back.
Yeah. I was in Arizona. Was looking at some properties for one of my friends out there, and then I went to the Arizona Cardinal game and had 3 closings last show. So thanks, Heidi, for taking over for me.
So how was how was Arizona? How was the weather?
It was actually kind of cold. Well, I guess for me it was kind of cold. It was like fallish weather.
Oh, probably not like the weather here. It was like snowstorm.
Yeah, you guys had a snow.
So, anyway, so what do we have going on today?
We have Jason and we have Bill with Drywall and Goll.
How's it going?
Great. Thanks for coming on the show, you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So you guys want to tell a little bit about Drywall on Goll and what it's about and what you guys do to service consumers out there?
Go ahead. Well, Bill and I here, we've been working together for, I'd say, close to 7 years now, for other companies and stuff, and we saw a need for more of a personal approach to drywall as far as going into people's homes and doing repairs, and we kind of been staying away from the more commercial end of it and the bigger drywall companies that way. So we've been in business for about a year now. It's been going really good.
So do you think you went into that avenue because a lot more people are doing home remodeling on their own?
Actually, working for other companies, we ended up in a lot of situations where they didn't know who to call. You know, so they just kind of went to the phone book.
Right.
And it was time and time again, they just didn't know who to call. And there was nobody really out there targeting small builders or homeowners,
right,
or making themselves available to the average person. You know, so we kind of stay away from the contracting and the commercial side of it, and we're there for you.
Well, I suppose, after last year, I mean, because it was so cold, I mean, did a lot of people like call you like, oh, I want to like drywall my garage because it's freezing?
Yeah, we've done we've done garages, yeah.
Yeah, because you can insulate the doors too, like the garage door and the walls and
firewall, yeah,
everything, so it stays like at least 45 degrees in there.
Yeah, I mean, with garages, you can put more insulation in and then put the drywall over top of the insulation. It definitely keeps it a lot warmer, for sure.
So what's the difference between drywall and firewall for garages?
Drywall is basically just a barrier to cover up the walls, aesthetic. You know, it's basically the same product, but it's only a 1/2 inch thick, and it's missing some of the components from the 5/8 firewall.
Right.
It's still actually drywall, but it just has more in it, and it's tested, you know, to give you a 1 hour burn through rating. In other words, it's and a 1/2 inch. You know, it could last an hour, but the Type X firewall will last a lot longer, give you time to get out or to take care of it.
Yeah, because in my interior design program, we have what is it, AFS or AA something, but they do like burn rating tests, like, you know, some materials like cotton, like it'll burn, but the second you take the flame away, it stops, it extinguishes itself.
Right.
So I'm assuming that's probably the same thing with the drywall.
Are you guys like lighting fires?
No, we looked like right out of the book.
Okay.
Yeah,
that'd be cool to have that little demo.
Yeah, school's still there.
Woo.
That'd make it a little bit more fun for you anyway.
Well, yeah, we burn the rooms down so we can redesign them.
Sweet.
There was actually one time where a forced air heater, kerosene I believe, malfunctioned and it ran all night. And it was a freshly drywalled basement, it was under construction. And that guy showed up next day, opened the door, and the heat basically pushed him back.
Wow.
And and you could touch the drywall and push your finger through it, but it didn't burn the house down.
Wow.
Yeah,
So it still had to be removed and redone,
Right.
but it prevented the burning of the house.
Yeah, you can sit there with drywall and take a lighter to it or any kind of fire source, and it won't catch on fire unless you'd have to really get it hot before
Right.
it caught on fire, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been going through home inspections with my clients and everything, and the home inspector's always like, okay, well, we need a firewall in the garage
Right.
from the exterior of the house or the attic. And
Yeah, anywhere you got a wall that connects with the interior of your home, you're going to have some kind of
Right.
firewall on there. That's why you see in some garages, you'll go into a garage and you'll see drywall on just the interior walls, but on the exterior walls where there's no worrying about where there's going to be a fire, there's no drywall.
Well, I guess the first question I wanted to ask was like, well, how long have you guys been in business and where are you located?
year, they said.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we just started this year. But
Oh, okay.
Jason's been, what, 25 years now?
25 plus, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going on 2021 myself.
Did you
so-
start when you were 12?
Basically, yeah. My family did it. My dad
Right.
and I have 4 brothers that all did it, and I started when I was 12, 13 during the summers.
He thought it would be more fun than
I
school.
should work at
so-
I should work at the carnival and guess ages.
Yeah, good job.
And wait.
Nice job.
For a
Now,
buck.
you guys also do installation as well.
Yeah, we do. We don't
So, like,
extensive.
what all do you
we
guys
don't.
do?
We don't extensively do insulation, but in the last couple of years, maybe even in the last 2 years, they increased the recommended R value in the attics, and we came across a smoking deal on a insulation machine that you basically put the fluffy insulation in and it just
Right.
blows it through your attic. So we're very capable of that, and it went from like an R36 to an R40 something. So that basically, unless you're built in the last couple of years or you paid for the improvement, the houses are under insulated. So
Yeah, we just did a garage up near the Poinette area where we were up and doing the ceiling work, and we happened to look up in their attic, and we could see that they didn't have enough insulation coming from the interior of the home into the garage. So we recommended that they get some more.
They
We
improve
run
it,
into
yeah.
that quite a bit, and that's why we decided,
and the products are better now. I mean, that was basically settling when they put that insulation in there. It was probably this deep, but now
Right.
it was like you could see the tops of the 2x6s and 2x8s and settle down to nothing.
What kind of insulation do you use? Because I know, like you were saying before, like a lot of stuff is like recyclable. Like, is
Right.
it like all?
We basically just use the fluffy pink stuff, it's I don't really know, it's non-intrusive, it's not like the fiberglass, it's just,
Right.
it's not as itchy and
it's basically just like a stuffing.
Well, it's kind of weird because I used to live over in this duplex in Sun Prairie here, and I remember looking up in the garage, and they didn't actually like even finish off from the garage to like the upper part of the house. Like I was like, well, that's weird, because it would always be so cold in there, and I'm like, but why didn't they ever finish that off and put insulation up there?
And now it's code pretty much
Yeah.
to have that completely blocked off.
Right.
So
Yeah.
they've changed so many things over the years as far as code and to protect the people that are buying and building. And it used to be just a free-for-all. They could build you something that looked good and then you're stuck with it,
Right.
Yeah, they actually came into one of my seller's house about 2-3 years ago, and you guys drywalled his basement. And didn't you guys help repaint my bad painting job too?
There was a little touch-up, if I recall. But
a little bit.
But that was an tremendous help, and it's amazing how, because drywall is quite heavy, and they're lifting it up and screwing and taping and.
That's exactly how it goes.
Yeah.
that's how
yeah,
that's
Just slap it up there.
it's
Throw
like
it
it was
up there.
yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes by, and time goes by quick for sure.
Talking about those firewalls, my mother lives in a condo down in Atlanta, and the condos are built more long than wide, and so like on the other side there's, another condo, so there's a firewall on that side, and then there's a firewall on the garage side, but you can't drill into those like for your cable I mean, unless they're already set in there, like your electric and stuff like that. So I mean, literally, we have like a cable cord running through the house, and so I had to put runners down everywhere.
Oh, right, yeah, you got
Yeah,
wires
because you
and
can't
cords
drill into
everywhere,
it.
right? Yeah.
Right.
And I'm like, well, geez, well, they didn't think that out. And I'm like,
These days, I mean, you walk into somebody's house and they got media everywhere. You know,
Right.
It's really cool what they're doing these days with that stuff.
I was actually down at what I think it's called J&H, like security systems down off
Right.
Park Street.
Yeah.
But you know, and they do the home automation.
Oh, it's nuts. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, literally, like everything you've got, they put like in a pantry closet, and then you can turn on all your lights and everything like that.
Yeah, they get
Yeah,
those new
even remote from your
controls.
phones
Yeah.
and everything else.
Right.
It's
Right.
cool.
It was wild. I was like, wow, it almost seemed like, I don't know, Total Recall or something. You know, like you just walk into your house, lights.
Jetsons type stuff.
Right.
Right.
So what kind of jobs have you guys done this year?
It's been, you know, Jason and I, we just kind of started out with small remodeling, you know, because we knew a lot of the small builders from doing a lot of work for other people. You make friends, people remember you. But it's been crazy this year. We've done a few houses, we've done a few, you know, multiple basements, a lot of remodel jobs. But I mean, we like things like you're in the real estate business and you want to help somebody sell their house and there's a big old crack in the ceiling. You know, you call us up and we'll come in, we'll doctor it up for you. We're not Band-Aid people. We're not just going to cover it up. We'll fix it.
So let's say someone had like their roof was leaking and they had a roofer come and fix that part.
Right.
And then you guys can do the attic with the installation and then
Yep.
put the drywall and patch it back up then.
Absolutely, and that's what we're going for. Actually, there's not really a one-stop shop out there. So, like his brother-in-law is a carpenter. So if we need a carpenter, we call him up. He comes and takes care of it. You know, and we know electricians. And I was previously at a company, did a lot of remodeling work. So I learned some of the ins and outs outside of drywall. So if it needs a backing or if something's not right, I'll recognize it. And we want to be a one-stop shop, basically.
Right.
Instead of having to call you up and say you need to call another guy for this, another guy for that, another guy for this.
Right.
You know,
Well,
makes it
that,
a little
you know, that's
easier.
what Laura does, like in real estate, you know, like she has like a, you know, a pool of people that she calls.
A network, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, so like if you need a plumbing job, well here, I recommend this guy, or oh, my pool doesn't work, how do I turn it on? Well, oh God, we'll call this guy. Or, you know, like, where do I get my tires rotated? Well, this is where
Right.
I go, you know, and talk to him, or, you know, I mean,
Yeah, we're all about that.
Yeah.
you know,
you
you
know,
have
if-
to be like set up like where, because people ask questions, and you're like, oh, well, yeah.
And you don't know who's good. I mean, with social media, it's a little easier now because you can really check somebody out, you know,
Right.
as far as you want to.
Exactly.
But other than that, word of mouth. I mean, you know somebody well and they recommend somebody, it's probably going to be pretty decent.
So with your company, I mean, do you come in and do like free quotes? And
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
exact, like,
Yep.
and like what you charge by the hour and
It varies.
labor, or-
You know, on the bigger jobs, it'd be by the square foot. On the smaller jobs, it's by the hour, but we can ballpark it. You know, we'll say, for instance, plaster is a good example of you don't know what you're going to find. The affected area is this big,
right.
but as you're picking at that and getting to the core of the problem, it can get bigger and bigger.
Right.
So we'll give you a low number and a high number. It won't be any less than this, but we won't exceed this. And
So I mean, do you set up a time frame? Like, let's say like, oh, I want my basement finished. I have people coming in town next week. Can you do
Yeah,
it?
within reason, we can keep to just about any schedule that.
Well,
that
I'm not like
anybody-
an hour.
Yeah, no, right.
2 weeks
I
is
just
our
got to
average.
run to the
2
store
weeks,
quick. Can you
like-
finish my basement up?
Like a full basement, we give 2 weeks from the hanging of the drywall phase up through the texture.
Oh,
It's
okay.
About roughly 2 weeks for a fully finished basement. But like say you're redoing your whole bathroom, we can do that in usually a week.
Oh, okay.
But if you have circumstances where you're like, I really have to have this done, we can work with you on that up, you know, with
Up
that
to a
too.
point.
Up to a point.
Well,
There's, well, it's not a matter of that either.
I need this done tomorrow.
Money can't buy the impossible, but one of the things we pride ourselves on is drywall does have application standards, you know, manufacturer recommendations for dry time, cure time.
oh, right.
I mean, you can go in there and they make, and you hear it a lot, you know, well, it says it's 20 minutes, you know, but that's just where it sets up. That's not actually dried.
Right.
You know, and
Because some takes like 24 hours, like for
yeah,
finish it,
or longer,
cure or
depending
whatever.
if you got a damp
Like grout
basement
or-
and cool weather and the conditions are right, it could be 3-4 days.
Right.
And we're pretty set on doing it proper. We want it to dry before the next coat goes on.
So what other services do you provide just besides drywalling? I mean, do you lay tile or?
No, we do a lot of painting. We do a lot of
okay.
painting, custom texturing. You know, we can. Our niche is seamless repairs. Basically, if something happens to the middle of your ceiling or the middle of your wall, by the
Right.
time we leave, you won't know what happened. And then we pride ourselves on not taking that mess into the rest of your house.
A lot of fine sanding.
You know, we got exceptional dust control and mess management.
Yeah, we use special vacuums, and we set up tents around the areas that we do, you know, with plastic and the zip walls they have now.
Right.
And we keep it out of the rest of your house.
Protect your floors, clean the front step when we're done.
So do you have a
So on and so
Facebook page
forth.
like that shows all these photos? And
Yeah, we do have a
Because,
a
I mean,
drywall
we'll
on call
definitely set up the
Facebook,
link
and then
to
we
that.
also have a website, it's drywalloncall.net.
Oh, awesome.
It's still a work in progress, but it's there and it's occasionally updated.
Right.
There are pictures up and stuff. You can go and take a look.
Awesome. So for like texture walls, can you do like the rounded ones? Like how some homes have like, not the square, the point, but like the round.
The round corners,
Yes.
the roll those
Corners.
corners, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, we do. That's actually just moving into this area, we're seeing it more and more. It used to be occasionally, kind of on the higher end homes, you'd see it here and there, but now it's becoming more and more.
Right.
And it takes a little more time and a little more mud, but the result is, you know, it looks so much better.
Yeah, the bullnose is what the bullnose corners. Yeah. Yeah, I love them. I think
They look great,
awesome.
and then if you got small kids, they're less aggressive too. I mean, I mean,
Yeah.
any of us that have had kids have had their, you know, they've hit their head on one of them corners.
Not me. I
You
have
know,
nails coming out of the corners of mine.
That'll keep them off of there.
Don't bump her up through my house.
So let's say you guys go into an older home and like you guys were saying, you might have plaster or, you know, asbestos or something. Do you guys have like certain protocols and gear you have to wear? Like you guys can take that down and just put drywall up over that? Or
Yeah, you can
how-
repair anything basically with drywall. And even if you put a patch of plaster right in the middle of the wall, you have to tear out. You can put drywall back in there, and it will adhere just fine. Plaster won't adhere to drywall, but drywall will adhere to plaster.
As far as asbestos and that kind of thing goes, if you did have asbestos, we'd have to call in somebody else
Right.
to deal with that. We don't deal with that kind of stuff. But as far as mold, you know, typically mold and that kind of thing we can deal with because mold is it needs the source to keep growing. So once you deal with the source, we can come in
Right.
and
Mediate
deal with it after that. But
Yeah.
yeah.
But when you're getting into asbestos and stuff, generally the contractor runs into
Yeah.
that, and they're licensed for all that, and they'll mediate it, and then we can come in and put it all back together.
Yeah, I knew this guy where I can't think where he's from. Maybe Lodi or somewhere. But like that's all they did was asbestos removal. You know, because so many people were redoing older homes.
It used to
and
be a huge business.
I'm like, I don't know if I'd be dealing
Schools
with
and
that.
homes and commercial buildings. And
Yeah, you got to know what you're doing when you're messing with that stuff for sure.
Right. Well, you know, like with the drywall that you pick out, or I mean, can your clients pick it out, or do you pick it out? Because you know, like so many people want to go green that they don't tear up the landfills with, you know, diapers and computers and whatever else goes in.
Nowadays, it's all pretty green. Gypsum is
Yeah.
a natural material, you know, so that's, the farmers really like it actually for the lime. Because
Oh, right.
That's what we do with our waste drywall is we make sure there's no screws or nails or nothing, and then we have a farmer we take it to, he recycles it back into the land.
Oh, nice.
And then the paper itself is recycled paper now, so.
What are those flowers called?
There's not really a lot of waste in the drywall trade. I mean, we primarily use cardboard boxes, you know, with mud instead of the buckets.
Right.
You know, because we can break down, recycle them, and
Yeah, you know, because
pretty
they're
friendly
very-
trade now.
You know, because like when we were talking about it burning, you know, a lot of stuff is safe, but like when it burns, it emits like
Yeah, all
deadly
kinds of
gases or-
chemicals.
yeah.
Right.
You know, like tires look nice in your car, but you don't want to burn them in your
Right.
fire
You don't want to
hose.
breathe that.
Right.
Yeah, most of the stuff we use is pretty biodegradable, I guess you
Right.
could say. Yep.
Earth friendly.
What are those hydrangeas? They love lime. That's how you turn them blue.
Oh,
Just say, just
I
thought
knew
I'd tell
that.
you. Yeah, you can turn them blue or green because they love lime. If you just sprinkle some lime, your hydrangeas will just come up all different colors instead of just white.
wow.
Had
Yeah,
no
it's the
idea.
lime in the soil.
I'll pass that on to the farmer.
Yeah,
There
we're
you
here.
It's a good
Maybe he's
solution, though. I
watching.
mean, if the farmers take the time to have the equipment to recycle drywall, they're not buying that stuff. you
See,
know.
I always thought the inside of drywall is chalk.
It's gypsum is what it is.
And what is that?
I don't know exactly, to be honest with you.
Chalk?
It's
Another name for
I
chalk.
know I lived out in Colorado, and I lived not too far away from a town called Gypsum, where they actually had
A mine.
a mine where they mined it out of the hills that are
Oh.
right there in town. So I'm not sure. I never went there and saw the process, but I know it comes out of the.
Wow.
Yeah.
And now they've gotten to where it was a waste problem for power plants because gypsum actually builds up in the stacks.
Oh.
You know, so now they're building, when they build a new drywall manufacturing plant, they do it close to a large enough power plant that they can just recycle that right over when they do the cleaning of the stacks and whatnot.
Like a nuclear power plant?
No, I don't know exactly. I would think it would be
Why are my walls
hydro or
glowing?
coal.
I don't know.
So where do you guys see this upcoming year for you guys? What do you guys see yourself doing a lot more of?
A lot more of. Basically, but what we've been doing over the past year is, you know, just getting our name out there as far as people using us for more of their remodeling. Some of the companies or contractors that we do work for are getting really busy and staying really busy. So we're on the right track.
We
I
hope to
think.
get out to the public more, though.
Yeah.
We like that one-on-one, you know, and not you not having to pay an extra 20 or 30% for somebody else to call us. you
Right.
know. And that's always nice because then you're dealing direct and you get what you asked for. And
Yeah, I think that a lot of people, you know, they see that they have some issues in their house, you know, as far as maybe their joints cracking in their ceiling, or even just needing to retext or something,
or fresh paint job.
or a fresh paint job, and they
Right.
don't know who to call, you know, so they just call up a contractor, you know, a general contractor, and then the general contractor hires somebody else to come in and do it, and you know, we just want to eliminate that middleman for people.
Well, let's say like some 20-year-old kid had a rager at his house and somebody kicked a hole in his wall. Can you fix it for his parents to get home?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's extra.
Yeah.
We do have a 911 fee.
That comes with the 12 call.
Right. But yeah, I mean, for smaller holes, I've done, you know, a small, you know, somebody puts a hole in their wall, I can come in there, you know, we can do it within one shot.
Right.
Come in there
Well,
one
you know,
day.
because I mean, I didn't know if you just go totally high-end or if like,
No, yeah, absolutely, yeah. And we ran into that with people too. You know, it's like I got this little hole in my wall. I don't know who to call.
Right.
Maybe even call a drywall company and say, oh, we don't even want to mess with it. It's too small. You know, we'll come in and, you know, like I said, a smaller hole, we can come in and do it with.
too big for toothpaste.
Yeah, toothpaste. I've heard that before.
Geographically, it has to work
Right.
out for things small like that. I
Yeah.
mean, we can tell you, hey, we got something in that area. You know, 2 weeks from today, we could set it up in that time period. That, you know, that'll keep your cost down. We're already going to be over there.
Right.
You know, otherwise we got to, you know, it'll reflect in the cost. But we work with them and we'll make it work.
Well,
Keep
yeah,
the
years
cost
ago, like
down
if you
and-
moved out of your apartment, they're like, well, you need to patch up all the nail holes, and you're like, how? You just took toothpaste and
I've seen the toothpaste before. It's not
Yeah,
fun to
we've-
deal with.
yeah.
We've literally
It
been
smells
in
good in
homes.
here. You're like, yeah.
We've literally been in homes where there was not even a sign of a screwdriver in the house. Like there was some people just, they're not mechanical. They're okay with that,
Right.
and that's what we're here for. Just
Oh, I've
let
seen
us,
houses
let us
like
do
that,
our
where all the
work. and-
pictures are
and-
along the walls.
Yeah, and we've run into people that have seen the shows on TV. Oh, drywall is easy.
Right.
You know, and they end up calling us, and we come in and pretty much have to start their whole project from scratch.
It does cost more if we first have to undo it to do
Yeah.
it.
I saw one house, I was showing a house, and the basement was finished, and you could see the lines from the tape on the drywall on the ceiling. I was like, ooh, that must have been a
Running-
homemade job.
Run into quite a bit of that, yeah.
And that's what I was talking about. The industry is kind of changing with the the recycled paper, and it's become more competitive too. There's more companies out there. USG is an American company. It's usually pretty good, but there's board coming from everywhere. Some of it's good, some of it's not. And you really got to examine it. I mean, they could do everything they normally do, but the seam will show because, you know, the materials are different now, and you got to change with that.
Well, how do you get a seam out of the ceiling? I mean, I know you like blue tape it or something, or you tape it and then
It depends.
you putty
on,
it and then you sand it.
It depends on what the issue is with it. Some ceiling joints will crack, and if you have a cracked ceiling joint, we would come in, cut the crack out, and then we retape it.
It could be cracked because it's just not, the drywall's not quite tight enough where it's joined together. What we do is we pre-fill everything. We'll go through with a powdered product that dries really hard like cement, and we'll whoosh it into all the joints before we do anything, and that kind of makes it one.
Right.
But back in the day, we used to just tape right over it, you know, and that kind of leaves that space behind it.
I'm trying to think what I used that one time. Yeah.
That one time?
Yeah, that was it.
There is a product called One
But
Time.
it was
worked
like
very good for nail
it looked
holes.
like screen, like
Yeah,
screen
Yes,
mesh.
mesh,
tape,
and then
yep.
I had it taped up and then all that, and then
They
you know
call
I
it
was
fiber
putting
tape
it,
or fiberglass tape.
and
Yeah,
I was
there's-
putting the spackle on there, and I'm like,
There's basically two kinds of tape. You have the paper tape and the mesh tape. Paper tape's used in more of a full, like if you're doing a full basement, you'd paper tape. But with mesh tape, it's made for more of the repair-sided
Right.
drywall.
it does
Because-
not get under your skin. I think I remember that. It's
Well-
like fiberglass, isn't it?
No,
like, don't you-
I mean, you'd think so by the name, but
yeah,
it's
it's not.
Well, something I had to wear gloves because you weren't supposed to touch it, or some kind of.
I think you bought it at the wrong store.
Well, yeah, like.
But we also don't recommend that for the corners where the ceiling and the walls meet,
Right.
or where the
yeah.
walls and the walls meet, because with a paper tape, it's solid covered. You know, and the mesh tape, it's got the little square holes in it. So if there's movement, that mud will actually crack behind it, and with the mesh tape, you can see because you can see through it.
Right.
Yeah.
And with the paper tape, you won't.
And paper tape has a prefabbed crease in it
The
that
crease.
fits into the corner where the fiberglass tape doesn't. So you won't get a nice crisp corner with the fiberglass tape.
So if you don't end up painting the basement for them because they love painting, I don't know
doesn't?
who-
It happens
Yeah, like,
actually
wow, let me paint.
more than you think.
But
Yeah.
do you like go on with like a primer? Like do you seal it down
What,
with
yeah,
primer?
what we offer basically as the door opener is we get it ready for paint. That's where we,
Oh, okay.
because if we stop any shorter than that, it's hard to offer a warranty because we don't know what they're doing, what they're
Right.
going to do with that raw product.
Right.
You know, so we get it basically ready for paint.
And most of the products we use, we have to put a primer coat before we put the texture on.
Otherwise, it'll absorb
Yeah.
differently with the mud joints and just the raw paper from the drywall that's exposed.
So once we come and do somebody's, like say they're doing their basement, once we walk out of there, you can paint it. You
Right.
can just put straight paint on there. You don't have to worry about primer because
Just
we've
don't do it
primed
while you're there.
It's actually kind of a shame. I mean, I've gone back and we take our work really personally, put a lot of love into it, and then we go back and somebody butchers it with the wrong paint job. And it's,
Yeah, with
Right.
the bad
it's
paint
just
job.
like, oh.
Jeez, right.
There's been times where I was tempted to fix it for free, where, you know, it's just like, I'm just gonna.
So with your texturizing, like I noticed like down south they do a lot of texturizing like with, it looks like they sponge it on or they all look like round circles.
Yeah, there's a lot of different applications of texture. I mean,
Yeah.
you
It's
run
like
into
in
that.
every house I go in down there, it's weird. I don't know if it was like the end thing at one time, they all just, or if it's just easier.
Well,
just
that's
to-
kind of like the hand swirl in the ceilings with the sand in it. You know, you
Right.
see a lot of that around here, and they're not doing it so much anymore.
Yeah, I didn't even, sand texture, I didn't even know existed until I moved up here to Wisconsin. I used to live down south and I've lived
Right.
all over, but I never even heard of sand texture until I came here.
It's the only place I've seen it.
It's a pain to
It's-
paint with.
I-
Well, thank you for coming on the show, Bill and Jason. Again, that's Drywall and Goll. Up next is Heidi, and she'll be teaching us some homemade crafts to do at home. Hi, thanks for tuning back. Heidi, how you doing?
Hi, good, Laura. Glad you're back.
Yeah.
Mike was fun, but it's so much more nice to have you here.
Oh, thanks. Yes, thank you for subbing for me and everything.
Yeah,
I'm excited for today.
me too. I've got 3 projects that I thought would be easy for everybody to make at home for gifts for a neighbor or a girlfriend or somebody just moving into a new home. These are all very kind of interchangeable, fun, crafty gifts. Okay? So last year, I made these cute little vases for some of our neighbors. And these are so simple to make, and they resemble almost like a Santa Claus suit, right? So I like to drink champagne, especially around the holidays. But when you open a really big bottle of champagne and you don't have anyone to share it with,
You have to drink the whole bottle.
you're stuck with the whole bottle. So they actually sell bottles of wine and champagne in these cute little tiny jars.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, so you have just one little serving and you're left with this cute jar. Well, what do you do with it?
Open another one.
Paint it. That's what you do with it, right? So these are so simple. You would just spray paint your bottle red, and then you can decorate it however you want, adding these gold little glitter pieces and a black belt, and then embellish it with some twine and sparkly pieces. These are super great gifts. You could add flowers.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
So you have mentioned before to spray paint X amount of feet back.
From the piece?
Yes.
Yes.
I have that issue. I have a really bad issue.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, and so
Is your paint running?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so when you use a bottle of spray paint, we'll pretend that I have one here, you need to do very thin, sweeping lines. And sometimes when you spray paint, you get so caught up in making sure the first coat is perfectly covered, that'll get you into trouble. So just like you're painting anything else, you want to do thin layers of paint and a very slow sweeping motion. Most of the time, I would say 8 inches away from your piece, 12 inches away. That's plenty of space. Don't ever get right up to it and try to paint. That's where you'll get the excess of paint, and then that's what causes the drips. Very lightly cover it, let it sit for 10 or 15 minutes, go back, and then lightly cover it again. Your second time, you should always have really good coverage. If you want to put 3 coats on, you can do that too. But don't get carried away with trying to spray paint it the first time and you're only going to put 1 coat on it. It'll get you into some trouble.
Yeah. I've been doing the spray painting in the box now since it's so cold
Yes.
and leaving my spray paint inside.
Yes, so spray paint is very difficult to do in the winters here in Wisconsin because anything less than 50 degrees, you might get kind of a bubbling on your piece. It may tend to run more often, and it certainly isn't going to dry if you leave it in that cold environment. So if you paint in your garage, which you should always spray paint in a well-ventilated area. So
Not by a car.
Not by a car. Leave your garage door open so those fumes can get out. Spray paint your piece and then quick carry it inside to dry somewhere. You'll have better luck with that, but don't leave it in the garage to dry because it'll just get real tacky.
Another thing about spray paint.
Yeah.
What do you do? So I bought a can of spray paint, and it won't spray.
The nozzle won't spray.
Yeah.
So sometimes certain brands maybe aren't quite as reliable as other brands of spray paint. I have always had the best luck with the Krylon brand of spray paints.
That kind.
It was. So either take the top off and look inside there, see if something's clogged, and then you could take a toothpick and kind of like pluck it out. But a lot of times when the nozzle goes bad, if something's bent or broken, it's just done. You just have to move on to the next can.
There's no way to try no.
Nope. You'll spend all day there, and then by the time you jab a hole in a can of spray, I mean, you could really end up with
I
a
actually
mess.
tried putting a different
Nozzle on top, and that didn't work?
No.
So if it's a brand new bottle, I would take it back to the store and say, listen, I've tried everything. This bottle is not spraying. Exchange it for a new one. I wouldn't mess with it.
I think I threw the cap away.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
there you have it. So these are simple little gifts that you could create to give to your neighbors. If your kids need something to give to their teachers at school, just cute little holiday treats that before Christmas gets here are really good for people to have.
You know, I was thinking to make it, you know, because it looks like Santa. You
Yeah.
could have took like Q-tips and cut a couple and made a beard or a cotton ball.
Yep, instead of doing these green little fuzzies on the top, you could put white ones so the top looks like a beard. Yep. Sky's the limit with crafts. I think you're finally starting to catch on.
I know, right? It's like, who knew?
I know. So last week, Mike and I were talking about gifts in a jar, and this has become very trendy this year because there's so much that you can do. They're easy to wrap. It keeps your gift to a limit, so you're not going to go crazy, but it's very personalized. Okay, so here's an example of some things that you can put into a jar for a friend or a family member who loves to do their nails, and this is very common. So grab a couple of bottles of your favorite fingernail polish, some Q-tips, different things that you might use to do your nails, like cuticle pusher backer thingy. What's that called?
Sounds great.
And maybe fingernail clippers. And then just put everything into your jar. That will fit into a cute little decoration. Stick some cotton balls right on top. And then you can take a piece of fabric, put it over your lid, and then just screw it on tight. And how cute is that little gift? You don't even really need to wrap it. It looks like it's nice and wrapped. You could just put a little tag on top, and away you go. Simple little gift for someone. I've seen these made with the cookie mixes, of course. We talked about that. You could layer different cookie mixes so that when they get home, all they have to do is add the liquid and then bake your cookies or brownies or whatever. You could also do something maybe for a tea lover. Let's say one of your family members loves to drink tea. What if you put in a small thing of local honey, a couple of tea bags, you know, a cute colander, whatever they do to make the tea, to steep it. So again, sky's the limit with little gifts like this. You just throw it all in a jar, call it a day.
Great
You know,
idea.
when I was down south, I went by this lady's house and she actually made some tea, and it was some kind of Oriental tea, but it was actually a flower, a dried up flower, and then when it got done brewing, it bloomed into the flower.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, and
that
then,
would be neat, and you could stick that in a jar very easy.
yeah, and then and then you drank the tea, and it just had a big, nice, beautiful bloom in there.
How pretty, and I bet it smelled great too.
Yeah, it tastes really good.
Very cool. So the last gift that I wanted to show you guys today is something that we're gonna make. So let me scooch this over to the side here.
You know what's nice about that too is that you can actually use the jar as
Yeah,
a drinking utensil.
you could. So if you're doing tea, then they could make it right in the jar.
Just do
You're
whatever
so
they want.
smart. So smart.
It's the whole gift.
So the last little gift that I wanted to show you guys are these awesome tea towels. So in my house, there's lots of things that I like to collect. You guys know this by now. Old doors and old windows and hardware. Another one of my favorite things on the planet are decorative towels. I'm not sure why. I don't know where this obsession came from, but I love the delicateness of a tea towel. It's very thin. It's made of cotton. It's wrinkly. It just seems cozy. It doesn't seem like, you know, a perfectly made store-bought towel. So there's something about these towels to me that just is very comforting and warm. So I found a way to make our own tea towels. And I absolutely love how simple this project is, and it is very green. You'll be using this all-natural degreaser that can be difficult to find. It's called Citrusolve. You can find it online. You can order it lots of places. Here locally, the only place that I have found this product is at the Heidi grocery store. Believe it or not, they have an awesome selection of you know, no chemical, organic line of cleaning supplies, and that's where you'll find this. It is about $13 for a bottle this size, so it's not inexpensive. But I'll tell you, I use this to make about 15 of these tea towels, and that's all that I used.
Wow.
So it doesn't take very much of the product. If you find a smaller bottle, perfect. You really won't need very much.
Do you know what tea towels were originally used for?
I don't, do you?
No, I'm asking you.
No, I don't. Cleaning things
I
up?
haven't asked you the question if I knew the answer.
No, I don't know what they were originally
Cleaning
used for.
things up.
Around my house, I use them not just as to clean things around the kitchen, but if you create, if you make some pastries or you make cinnamon rolls or whatever, I always put a tea towel over top, instead of wrapping saran wrap sometimes, or putting
Right.
them in a really sealed container. Sometimes when they're too sealed, they get really moist, you know? So instead of wrapping them nice and tight, I love to use a tea towel.
great.
A damp tea towel works great over breads or,
Right.
you know, a dish that's sitting on the counter.
Because is there a material, what is that, a pastry, whatever, that you wrap dough in?
What is that called? It's like a cheesecloth.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is this kind of like a cheesecloth?
It doesn't breathe as much as a cheesecloth would.
Oh, okay.
Cheesecloth is larger pores. This is cotton. And actually, the tighter the weave on a tea towel, the better this project will work.
Right.
So, okay. So, in addition to this cleaning stuff, you'll need some tape, a kitchen spoon, just a simple spoon, a paintbrush, some newspaper, your tea towels, of course. And then you're going to need to be able to print an image in reverse. So I don't have really fancy programs on my computer. What I did is just put an image first, the picture, and then you create a text box with your words in it. You'll select the text box, find the 3D rotation on your program, whatever program you have, and then you'll flip it 180 degrees. In Microsoft Word, it's fairly simple to do, and that's
Right.
what I did with this particular one. There's different tutorials too online if you go to YouTube or just Google it.
Is
You'll
it
be able
better to do it in black and white then? You don't want to do it in color?
You don't want to do it in color, and the only image that's going to transfer is going to be if you're using a printer with toner. Toner is what comes off the page onto the towel. If you have an inkjet machine at home, that ink is not going to transfer. And if you use a brand new printer, that toner has a different chemical makeup than the older toner. So you will want to test this out a couple of times. Make sure that you've got a printer that's going to transfer. I have an older 2300, HP 2300 printer, and it has the older toner that transfers perfectly. Okay? All right, so here are some simple steps on how to make your tea towel. You'll lay your clean towel flat. If you want to iron your towel, that will certainly help. Make sure that you get your image on straight. If it's not real flat, then you're going to get these crinkles in here, okay? Tape
Right.
the edges of your towel down. If the towel moves at all, your image is going to kind of blur a little bit. Okay, so you'll take your image and put it toner side down on top of your newspaper. And then I would also tape this image to the towel. Again, you don't want it to move around. Use just a simple bowl, pour some of your Citrusolve into a bowl, and with a paintbrush, you'll cover the image with the Citrusolve. Do not put enough that the paper's gonna rip and tear, but make sure that it is soaking wet. Once you apply it onto the paper, your image is gonna come through, you'll see the image.
Are you going to do it?
No,
I'll do it.
it'd be quite a mess if we did it right now.
Oh, well, I didn't.
So your image will come
But
through
it doesn't seem like it
this.
would be messy. It just seems like,
I didn't bring an extra bowl.
oh,
Well, here, we can try here.
use my coffee cup.
Here, we'll just dip it right out of the thing.
It's all natural, right?
Okay, so here we go. This one's for Mike.
Do you want me to hold it down?
Right?
Chop it like it's hot.
Chop it like it's hot is what this image says, okay? So you'll dip the Citrusolve right in, and it smells awesome.
I'm like,
Laura might be allergic to it. Okay. One tip as you're brushing this on here is you'll want to do your piece in sections. Do the picture first and then the words. Because as you take the back of your spoon,
Oh, is that why you don't want to get too saturated?
exactly. So one of the things about this project that is beautiful is this kind of vintage look that it creates. This is not going to give you a perfect image. It's just not going to do it. After you transfer it, you'll want to wash the towel, and it is going to fade, okay? So when you're doing this, a trick that I learned the hard way is to put one coat of Citrusolve on first, varnish with your spoon. Make sure you get every single piece of that image. Go back with a little bit more Citrusolve, and you'll be able to see again that image get wet. And then you'll take the back of your spoon again and really, really push and make sure you get that image transferred.
It's like you're rubbing on a tattoo
Yes.
with some vinyl lettering.
Yep, you bet. And the more you varnish it with the spoon, the harder, you push it into the paper, the more times you go over it, the better this image is going to transfer. Because again, when you wash this towel the first time, it will fade. And if your image isn't super, super dark, you're going to get your towel out of the wash and be like, oh my gosh, where did it go? Where did the image go?
Well, would you recommend then, like, maybe soaking it first in like vinegar and salt,
The towel?
like to set the ink in?
Nope, because what you'll do after you get all your Citrusolve on here, and here we can just quick do these letters too so you guys can see it.
I gotcha.
Yeah, you make it look beautiful. My handy Vanna assistant over here.
Banner.
Have you guys ever made towels like this?
Oh, sure, all the time. That's what I do when I go
That's
home.
what Mike does. Okay. Any other towels? Because there are different ways to do this. You can actually get fabric paint, and you could paint your towel. Sharpie marker is permanent,
Right.
so you could try and use a Sharpie.
Wouldn't that bleed?
It will bleed. Yes, it will. So you have to be very careful with a fine tip Sharpie and just barely touch that fabric. Or you could use an iron-on, like a vinyl iron-on transfer.
Because I know with a Sharpie, like, I've labeled my underwear and,
You still do that?
well, just saying.
If you want to check your image, you can do that, but once you lift this paper, you will run the risk
Or not being in the lines?
of it, not being in the lines and stuff. And since we don't have ours taped down here, it may not be quite perfect.
But it's vintage.
But yeah, that's kind of the look we're going for here, right?
We have to do this one twice, don't we?
We can. Mike is so by the book, aren't you? Okay.
I
So,
just want to see how easy this is.
it is pretty easy.
I gotta whiff it again.
Yeah. It smells good. I think it smells very citrusy.
Yeah, Citrusolve.
It reminds me of that orange.
Yes.
Awesome Orange. Awesome Orange from the...
It's like a cleaner.
Yes.
yeah,
Oh, that's
Awesome
what it's called?
Orange. Yeah. From expensive store.
Okay. Now we should have this cool image on our paper. So again, when you're done with this, just toss it.
Look at that.
So look how cute. Then your image comes through. And this one says, chop it like it's hot. Very fun for your kitchen. And then you can just simply toss that piece away. Again, this is what your image looks like when you first transfer it. So you want to make sure it's super dark. It's exactly what you want. Go over it as many times as you can to transfer that toner on. Once you transfer the image, you're going to want to take an iron,
Right.
put it on the cotton setting. So usually that's the highest heat setting. On top of either your newspaper or towel, iron and heat set this image. You really want to get it good and ironed on there because that is what makes toner stick. I don't know if you know this, but when you're printing an image in a printer, it's heat and pressure. That's what creates the image, and that's what makes toner stick to paper.
Oh.
So what we've done is we've applied pressure with our spoon, and now we need to apply heat. If you don't apply heat and you toss this in the wash, the entire thing is gone. It's going to come right off.
It'll just look like a stain.
Then it will just look like a little white tea towel. So again, iron it really good. You'll want to do that on top of a towel or on top of your newspaper. If you don't put something under it, your ironing surface is going to smell like Citrusolve. And Laura, that didn't work out so well for you. So make sure to put something underneath it.
Well, can you use this technique on just tea towels, or can you do it like on aprons? Like
Sure.
Like if I wanted to make Laura an apron where it
Yes.
said Laura.
Yep. Any tight
Laura.
knit,
That's all I've got, Laura.
any tight knit cotton fabric will be.
So it has to be
perfect.
cotton.
I have really only tried this on cotton. You could be the guinea pig and try it on something else if you want. Maybe. There are techniques though to transfer images like onto wood. You could transfer images onto glass, like photos. If you printed a photo out, you could take that image and put it on a piece of wood. And
With citrusol?
not with citrusol, but there, you know, if you Pinterest it, if you
Right.
search on Pinterest, there's so many different ways to transfer images other than the obvious.
Yeah, I mean, you know, because I always think like a nice homemade gift is nicer than, you know, especially
Yes.
something that they'll use,
Yep.
like an apron or
Exactly.
a word search book. Like I wouldn't make that, but you know, like something, you know, like your jar. Or,
Yeah, everybody loves to get something that's more personalized, a little more customized, because then you can say, you know, you're not going to give this to someone who doesn't like to cook or someone who doesn't have an area in their home where they need a tea towel, right, or some sort of a towel like this.
Right.
This is a very custom gift for somebody who loves to be in the kitchen, who loves unique looking things, something that you can't just go to a big box store and buy it, you know. So
Right.
these are gifts to really, I think, make your holidays more intimate. And you can customize them too, right? So instead of just getting the plain ones, you can buy tea towels that have different colors on them. Or once you get your piece made, you could embellish it with a ribbon, you could sew a piece of fabric across, you know, across it. You could put images on both sides of the towel, so on
Right.
both ends of it, so you've got multiple things going on.
This would be a great housewarming gift.
Yes, it would. It would be a great housewarming gift. So if you could maybe get a little basket, and inside your basket you could make some homemade towels. You could decorate some wine glasses. Laura, I've seen you do those. Stick those in there. That would make somebody very happy. I mean, I know it would make me happy. I would love that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah, you could do like their address in case, you know, because they don't know yet what it is.
Perfect. I would do it. Wrap it up. Put a bow
Took me
on
6
that.
months to know my address.
I know.
I just know how to get there.
So yeah, so there's so many different options on homemade gifts, you guys. These are just a few that can scratch the surface. You've got your neighbors or your teachers covered. You've got your best friend covered with your little jar. And then you can make towels for everybody else in your family.
Well, I think this would be nice if you did like Bucky Badger or
Yeah.
the Green Bay Packers, you know, like on a cooking
fun.
apron. You know,
Yep.
do it in black and white because I've seen that one Bucky Badger in black and white, and I thought that was, you know, very interesting.
Yeah, you could do towels and aprons. What if you took smaller ones and made napkins?
Right.
So at your table setting, you could put everybody's name, like,
nice.
you know, Christmas 2014 and put their name on it. You could put that there. You could make stockings. You could make, you know, anything that has that tight-knit cotton fabric.
Right, and then they can take the
Stencil
napkin
away.
home with them and
Yeah,
wash it themselves.
exactly.
Endless.
It is.
Just
Lots of fun.
possibilities. Well, thanks for tuning in to this show of the Home Extension. Next week, we'll have a special holiday edition scheduled.